Saddest Night Out, episode 490, Thursday, 18th of September. Going to try something different with this one. This episode is essentially going to act as an intro for a playlist called Drum. You can find that playlist on the artist page for loads of Japanese bands, which is my artist name, in case you didn't already know. You can also just listen to this episode on its own on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever podcasts are found. I think this podcast is available everywhere. But if you want to hear the songs I'm talking about straight after, then you'd have to listen to it on that playlist on my artist page. And if you maybe want to leave comments for the playlist, you can do that on Spotify as well. So this is a playlist called Drum. And as the name might suggest, it's full of songs with drums that I like. And that's it. And there are a few things I think could be interesting with trying this idea. First of all, I think there can be more to an artist's page on Spotify than just, here's my song, here's my latest album, etc. This feels like an attempt to deepen the connection a little bit so that you can get to know the person a bit more than just what was their last song. So none of my songs are in this playlist. It's just a bunch of songs with drums that I like. You can't really listen to this playlist on shuffle, assuming you're listening to this episode at the start of the playlist. Because if you put this playlist on shuffle, then this intro might pop up randomly in the middle of what you're listening to and could possibly kill the vibe. Or maybe that's what you're into. Who am I to judge? We're all friends here. Also, I can always add more songs to this playlist later and maybe even record an additional podcast episode, maybe call it Playlist Drum Part 2 or something, and talk about more songs that I might add to this playlist with more drums that I like. And you can't leave comments on a playlist from Spotify. Other streaming platforms are available. You can't leave comments on a playlist on Spotify, but you can leave comments on a podcast episode. So if you leave comments on this episode, I think anyone that listens to the playlist can press on this episode at the start, see the comments, see the other people listening to this playlist, maybe recommend other songs to add to the playlist, which I could then add later on with another episode, or you can put each other onto new music, etc., and so on and so forth. It's uncharted waters that I'm wading through here, just unfinished thoughts, ideas, to see what happens. And it starts with this. So, this playlist is called Drum. It's a bunch of songs with drums that I like. The songs are Ways to Be Loved by Tops, If You Really Love Nothing by Interpol, Mistaken for Strangers by The National, Breakers by Local Natives, Like Eating Glass by Block Party, Cough Cough by Everything Everything, 23 by Blonde Redhead, The Rat by The Walkmen, One Beat by Slater Kinney, Can't Make a Sound by Elliott Smith, 2 Weeks by Grizzly Bear, La Ritournelle, Mr. Dan's Magic Wand Mix by Sebastian Tellier, and Beautiful by Yura Teikoku. And to say just a little bit about each song, because I don't want this playlist intro to be as long, if not longer, than the playlist itself. So Ways to Be Loved by Tops. This is a song that I find difficult to air drum. There's like a shuffle to it that I can't quite nail. I think it's the ride cymbal doing triplets, but missing the first hit. There's like... I don't know if you can hear me banging against my chest there, but that sound is being made alongside the... And it kind of falls out of sync. It's one of those things where you have to use each limb independent of the other limbs and not be influenced, otherwise you lose the rhythm. It's subtle, but it's complex. It doesn't overdo it, but it adds that little je ne sais quoi to the song. Next, you've got If You Really Love Nothing by Interpol, which has another shuffle that scratches that itch. And again, it's on the cymbal. I think it's on the verses. It's like I think it's a triplet without the first hit that I can't quite remember, but I always feel like I'm missing something when I try to air drum it. I don't know how Sam Fogarino does it. Sam Fogarino, I'm a big fan of him as a drummer. Many Interpol songs would fit on this playlist. I think they're the band I play the most whenever I would play bass guitar on the live streams on TikTok. Sam Fegorino is a bit older than the rest of the band, and I think there's a maturity to his drumming throughout their discography. Part of what makes this band stand out so much for me is how much each player plays their instrument unconventionally. Like, I don't think Carlos D plays a bass guitar like a bassist. He plays it the way that makes sense to him. And same with Sam Fegorino. At a time when garage rock was very much the vibe, which comes with a very simple, like, he does that as well, but he also will mix it up. He'll play different... I don't know how to word it. I'm a drummer, but I'm not a drummer. I don't know the technical terms. I just know that I find his drumming as catchy as a guitarist riffs or a vocalist pop hooks and things like that. Also, Peter Kattis produced the first 2 albums and then went on to work with The National, who are the next band on this playlist with their song Mistaken for Strangers. I think it's still my favourite song by them. I love how the verse is just playing the drum kit one drum at a time. So kick, snare, kick, snare, 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 kick, kick, snare, snare, snare. So you could play this whole thing with just one hand if you wanted to. Well, at least the verse with one hand. Then the chorus comes in and gets a bit more conventional. But it works so well. And it's on an album called Boxer. And it feels a bit like a boxer hitting a punch bag, one punch at a time. Big fan of this song. I don't know if they play it as much. It feels more recent than it is, but I think the album might, oh goodness, it might be 15 years old now, the album, since it came out. But I think it's still my favorite. No, I think the next album is my favorite, but this is my favorite song. Also a big fan of the documentary that's also called Mistaken for Strangers. And this song really made me pay attention to the dead drum sound. So drums can sound really boomy and echoey, and it can feel like the band is playing in this really gigantic, cavernous space. I think Led Zeppelin, When the Levee Breaks, is that the song where the drummer did the drums in like a big hallway in a giant house, and so it sounds particularly echoey, and that became the sound that everyone chased. And then you've got songs like In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins with the really reverbed drums. But these drums sound like, it almost sounds like you're drumming on a cardboard box. You just hear the slap of the drum and that's it. There's no extra sound after that, which makes it feel like you're in a small room with the band as they're playing in front of you. And it means the rest of the instruments can fill up that space with overdubs, extra melodies, extra instrumentation, reverb, etc., etc. But the drums keep it simple. The drums keep it anchored. Next, we have Local Natives with the song Breakers. And this song is from an album that was produced by Aaron Dessner, who is a member of The National. Bit of a cinematic universe of drumming happening here. Another unconventional drumming pattern, which is even more satisfying than whatever a standard drumming rhythm could have been. Very, very fun to air drum, especially the chorus, which has so much more of a rush to it, as well as those backing vocals doing the ooh, that just repeated drum roll makes it feel like a bit of a roller coaster each time the chorus comes around. And after this, we've got Like Eating Glass by Block Party, one of my favourite album openers ever. I love how each instrument is introduced individually, and the drum, it might be the review for this album on NME magazine Once Upon a Time that says the drums sound like the drummer is falling down the stairs with his drum kit while drumming. Matt Song, another favourite drummer of mine. It always impresses me that the drums for this album were finished first and then they worked on the rest of the album, because they sound so intricate and technical, but they add to the energy rather than distract from it. It doesn't feel like Matt Song is just showing off. It sounds like the song needs this level of urgency throughout the song, which is very impressive to maintain. Next, it's Everything Everything with Cough Cough. And this drum in particular, there's one part of it that sounds like it falls out of rhythm. It's like boom, ta-da, boom, ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. That little bit, it shouldn't work, but it does, and it works so well. And I always thought it would be cool to see this song performed with additional drummers. Maybe a drummer stood each side of the main drum kit, or more drummers, and standing and drumming, and with just a snare drum in front of them, just to do that ba-da, ba-ba, ba-da, ba, ba-da, 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 rhythm throughout. I just think it's a cool visual. I first saw something like that with Radiohead when they do their song There There. The guitarists Johnny and Ed don't play their guitars. They are each standing behind a drum kit, a smaller drum kit, next on either side of Phil, the drummer. And they drum throughout the song, and then Johnny joins in on guitar at the end. But otherwise, it's just Tom and Colin playing guitar and bass. It looks really cool. Another band that did something similar is Blonde Redhead with their song 23. I first heard this song when Blonde Redhead supported Interpol when they were touring their third album, Our Love to Admire. And I think it was at Alexandra Palace. And Sam Fogarina joined Blonde Redhead for this song. So you had two drum kits playing this song. I think the OCs have two drummers as well, just all the time. But this was my first time seeing something like that live, and it just made the song that much more hypnotic for me. And the song is already like a really swooning, shoegazy type of song. So that adding that to the drums just really, really worked on me. And next we have arguably the most iconic drums of the 2000s indie sleaze era. That's The Rat by The Walkmen. There's a video of them playing this song in some basement. I think it was when they played for Pitchfork. This video on YouTube, I think it's called The Walkmen Lost Footage 2008. And whoever's filming, understandably, decided to zoom in on the drummer and just focus on them from this song. And you can see the effort it takes. They're not slamming the drums, but just to move through the drum kit throughout the whole song. You can see the effort on their face. But it sounds so, so good. And it is because it requires so much movement across the drum kit throughout the song. As I attempt to do it and get more tired, I end up actually having to move my arms more to try and keep up, which only makes it that much harder. But man, it's one of those songs that should have been up there with like Mr. Brightside or Seven Nation Army or Reptilia. It's a song that's that good in my opinion. And this band played on the TV show The OC. And this, I'd argue it's their biggest song, but they didn't do it on the show. They did two other songs, which are also really good. What's in It for Me and Little House of Savages. But even the people that made the show are like, this is one of those what if moments. Could the song have been bigger if they performed it on the show? Guess we'll never know. Next up, we've got One Beat by Slater Kinney. And this song has a drum beat that's slow, methodical, but galvanizing. It's like a military march. I can imagine a marching band drumming out this rhythm as the troops march alongside them. And considering this band is just two guitarists and singers and the drum kit, so it's very sparse instrumentation, the drums really, for me, they take center stage. Maybe it's just the way I listen to it, but big fan of this drum kit, this drum pattern. It's like a guitar riff for me, and also makes the song a bit of a favorite of mine when I'm at the gym as well. Next, we have Elliott Smith with Can't Make a Sound. Of all of these songs, this is the only one I've actually played behind a drum kit on a stage with a band, because when I play with Kalebo, we did a cover of this song for an Elliott Smith night in London. And this song is so fun to play live, particularly going from the reserved playing at the start to kind of lashing out a bit more once the song really kicks into high gear towards the end. In fact, playing it, rehearsing it, I had to focus on not speeding up. Because it gets so loud and you can do a lot more, it can get tempting to just get into the energy acceleration of it all and then start speeding up how you're playing. But the song's tempo is actually quite moderate. So as I'm playing more toms and more fills and more cymbals, I have to make sure I'm not speeding up, because the rest of the band can feel it if you start getting a little too into it. So there's an effort of discipline that has to be used when playing the song. Still really, really fun though. Then we have Grizzly Bear with 2 Weeks. This is, for me, like an anthem of that second era of the New York Noughts, Noughts being the decade, that came after Interpol, Strokes, Yeah Yeah Yeah's LCD Sound System. Bands like Vampire Weekend, Yes Sayer, Dirty Projectors, and MGMT, who all seem to decide independently to leave the garage rock sound behind for something else. And I don't know what you would class this as. Is it chamber pop? Is it baroque pop? Whatever it is, the drums go from bare minimum to constant drum rolls without feeling out of place. It just works. Then we have La Ritournelle by Sébastien Tellier, a favourite song of mine, an all-time favourite of mine, and it might feature in multiple playlists if I do this again. But this particular version of the song, there's lots of different versions. For me, it has to be the Mr. Dan's Magic Wand mix. This is the version that is used in the music video as well, which shows a couple going through their entire lives from first meeting to being in a hospital bed. A bit like the opening for the movie Up, but with a better, I was going to say with a better soundtrack, but that opening for the movie Up, it does have a pretty good soundtrack. This song has Tony Allen on the drums, R.I.P., famously drummed with Fela Kuti, who is the inventor of the Afrobeat sound. Not to be confused with Afrobeats, plural, which is very popular now. I love that this was played during the Paris Olympics as well. It might have been the Paralympics or the closing ceremony of the Olympics, but it was featured at some point and performed live. And around 1 minute 30, 1 minute 34, right in the middle of the song, when the singing stops and it's just instrumental, there's a snare fill that is just so satisfying. It's the peak of the song for me. Every facet of this song is flawless, in my opinion. And they all get their chance to shine. And that, for me, is when the drums shine. Like, even the strings take a slight step back just so the drums can do their thing for that little moment. And then when the singing comes back in, the energy has just been taken up about 10 levels because of that. It's so easy for the drums to get lost underneath everything else, but instead, they tie it all together so well. And the last song on this version of the playlist is Beautiful by Yura Yura Teikoku. At least I'm pretty sure it's called Beautiful. Beautiful or Ugly. I saw the title once, but as you will see, if you look at this on Spotify, the title is written in Japanese, and I can't read Japanese, so I think it's called Beautiful. And it's another all-time favourite song of mine. I first heard it on the soundtrack to the movie Love Exposure. If you have 4 hours to spare, I highly recommend watching that film, but just go along with the ride if you do decide to watch it. The kick and the hi-hat of this song are constant throughout, which means that both feet are basically going the whole time, because your right foot is doing the kick and it's a hi-hat that's just closing, I think. So your left foot is just closing the hi-hat. So it's just a that you have to maintain throughout, and then it's your hands that are doing the rhythm on the tom and the snare, that dum ta dum 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 ta dum ta dum 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 ta dum. So all 4 limbs are having to move in a very monotone way for the whole song, which just adds to the hypnotizing effect of the song. And it's like a gentle exercise in your limbs doing independent rhythms without being swayed by each other. It's like when you're a kid and you had to try and pat your head and rub your stomach at the same time, and then swap what each hand was doing, and then swap hands as well, to just get used to your hands doing different things from each other without putting you off, so to speak. It's so simple, and it's so pared down, that when the shaker comes in, it heightens the whole song for me in the same way that maybe a big drum solo and then landing on the crash would. But it's just a simple element that's added, but because the song is so simple and bare bones, you only need to add a simple thing to it to up the energy. And then when the gong comes in towards the end, that's the icing on the cake. So that is my current iteration of this playlist called Drum. Once again, in case you're listening to this on a different platform and want to assemble these songs yourself, the songs are Ways to Be Loved by Tops, If You Really Love Nothing by Interpol, Mistaken for Strangers by The National, Breakers by Local Natives, Like Eating Glass by Block Party, Cough Cough by Everything Everything, 23 by Blonde Redhead, The Rat by The Walkmen, One Beat by Slater Kinney, Can't Make a Sound by Elliott Smith, 2 Weeks by Grizzly Bear, La Ritonelle, Mr. Dan's Magic Wand Mix by Sebastian Tellier, and Beautiful by Yura Yura Teikoku. I hope you enjoy these songs. Feel free to leave a comment on the Spotify. This could be the first time, I don't know if anyone else has done this, where a playlist now has a comment section because the first song on the playlist is a podcast episode that lets you leave comments. Any songs you like, any songs you don't like, songs you'd heard before, songs you are introduced to via this playlist, other songs that these songs remind you of, songs that are great for you drum-wise. Naturally, I kind of stick to the 2000s-ish. That tends to be my wheelhouse when it comes to sharing my musical interests online. But I'm open. I'm very clueless when it comes to quote unquote classic rock 60s 70s type stuff, which might have a more, what's the word, out there drumming style that really shows off how well you can drum. I'm thinking of like The Who and Led Zeppelin, who I think both had famously like very technically talented drummers who could really show off what they can do. I don't know about that type of drumming much. I just know about the stuff that I got into when I was really getting into music of my choosing, and that's the stuff that I'm sharing with you now. I hope you like it. Feel free to let me know what you think. Thank you for listening wherever you're listening, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.